I'm all for Christmas, all the happy smiles and the wishes, and I want it all.
Hello everybody and welcome to day 9 of Craftmas, and I'm gonna throw it way back, do it way old school, and just talk you through my project as I go. And it's gonna be a fun one. So let me show you what I have, and then we're gonna dive right into getting it made. The stamp set I'm using is the Decorate with Happiness set. I'm gonna be using a couple of the images and then the sentiment. So for my sentiment, I'm gonna need one of these shape dies. And then I have the Gnome Dies, and from that I'm going to use the pieces that you create the little gnome, not the one that you would stamp. I don't have the stamp set, but there is a stamp set coming out in the new catalog that will coordinate with the die. So I got the die, but there's this great gnome die that you can put it together. So that's what I'm going to use. I have some white cardstock here that I have sprayed with glitter. So I've used this spray glitter and I've glittered, I don't know if you can see that, and that is what we're going to cut out the gnome beards with. I'm gonna need 3 of them. And then I have evening evergreen cardstock, and then cherry cobbler, and that is gonna be for their feet. Then I have 3 pieces of pattern paper, which is going to be for their hat, and we're going to cut that out. And then I got out my shimmery white cardstock. I actually haven't used this in a long time. I had a brand new pack. So that's what this cardstock is right here. And I've actually already cut my card piece. I just wanted to show you the shimmery white cardstock. So I'm gonna do a slimline card. So this is 3 1/4 by 8 1/4. So you're going to wanna cut your piece of cardstock at 6 1/2 by 8 1/4. And then when you fold that, you're gonna get 3 1/4 by 8 1/4. And then I've done a top layer, and it is gonna be 3 by 8, and that's gonna go on the top there. We're gonna pop that up. I have an ivory blend marker to color one of the pieces. And then this is gonna be really, really simple. So it's gonna be a slim line. This was not my original idea. I'm gonna link on my blog post where I saw this card. I just saw it and I wanted to make it. Her name is Sue, and I'm pretty sure she's a demonstrator. I would assume that she would have to be, just from where I was looking. I was looking on Pinterest and I saw this and I thought that would be really fun to make. So I will link her on my blog post and you can see the original idea, because I am casing this card pretty much exactly how she did it, with the exception of the designer paper she used and her color choices. Okay, so now that we have our card base and we have our pieces, let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to die cut everything so that I just have all of the pieces together and I don't have to stop. So I'm going to use my mini to cut everything. I think it should be fine. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to need, and I think that this is dry now. I sprayed it. Actually, it's not. So let's set that aside to dry a little more while we do the other pieces. So for these, I just need one of these pieces. So we're gonna need 3 of these because we're going to do the hat.
Well, I'm all for Christmas, all the happy smiles and the wishes, and I want it all, from the lights to the mistletoe. Tell me one thing, is there anything that you're missing? I will keep you warm as soon as you remove that snow. Whatever we do, we will be alright. These holiday wonders will open your mind. May all your wishes tonight come true. The love I lived, the dream I knew. This Christmas I only wanna be close to you.
So here's all of my pieces we're gonna put together. And then for the noses, I'm going to take the ivory blend and I'm just coloring, I'm just giving it a once over. It'll dry back a little bit, so it'll get a tiny bit lighter as it dries into the paper, but not much. Okay, so we have those. All right, so now let's do our stamping. And I'm gonna take Evening Evergreen, which I'm loving this season, and maybe Old Olive. And then we're gonna do also some embossing. The original card did not have embossing on it, but, oh, I wonder if I colored those on the screen. I zoomed in and then I didn't even look up. The original card that I saw did not have embossing on it, but what's a holiday card without a little bit of gold embossing? So we're gonna start with Evening Evergreen. So I have my stamp on my block. And then we're gonna go you could use a stamp positioning tool if you wanted this exactly perfect. I don't know. I'm not really going for perfection. Remember, let's not be picky. Let's just be crafty. Sometimes I see things that I want to create and then I don't because I think I can't get that perfect, or I don't know how to do that, and if I'm gonna film it, it has to be perfect. And I don't think that that's the case. I think that we can just make stuff, case projects, be crafty, and not be so picky. So I have this evergreen piece, and I'm gonna use it because what I wanna do is I want to add another layer of green. So I'm going to use Old Olive. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this up pretty liberally. And then what I'm going to do is some second generation stamping. So the first time I'm going to stamp it off on, you can see where I didn't press, this piece of cardstock. And then I'm going to go in right over and add that second color to it. So it's a little bit lighter. If I just did it right from the ink pad onto the paper, it would be really dark. You really wouldn't get much of a variation between the Evening Evergreen and the Old Olive. But this way, you get a little bit extra color. Okay, so now let's do the embossing I want to do, which was not the original plan, but it's the plan now. So we're gonna need a Versamark, and then we're definitely gonna need a tray. Okay, then I need my gold embossing powder, and then here we go. We're gonna do this.
Well, I'm all for Christmas, all the happy smiles and the wishes. And I want it all, from the lights to the mistletoe. Tell me one thing, is there anything that you're missing? I will keep you warm as soon as you remove that snow. Whatever we do, we will be alright. These holiday wonders will open your mind. May all your wishes tonight come true. The love I lived, the dream I knew. This Christmas I only wanna be close to you.
So now we have this piece here, and it has my gold on it. And now we're going to start putting this together. So let's start by putting all of the gnome pieces together, and hopefully I've cut everything properly. All right. So the way these go is, let's put the noses on. I'm really bummed that some of that, I wonder if I can just lightly, sort of, because it's has a glossy, oh, that's nice. Okay, because it has a glossy finish, I can wipe some of these black specks off. Okay, that looks better than it did. It's not perfect, but it looks better than it did. Okay, so then we just need a little bit of liquid glue. Okay. That is weird. I don't know if it's picking it up on camera, but these colored weird. Like, that one has a weird, I don't know if it was the way the ink settled into it, but I'm gonna take my, okay, so there's those pieces, and then the hats are gonna go on. Oh, I see. So on the die, there's these lines where these pieces go. So you can actually just add the glue right on the lines. That's super nice. And also where I cut that and it didn't,
Well, I'm all for Christmas, all the happy smiles and the wishes. And I want it all, from the lights to the mistletoe. Tell me one thing, is there anything that you're missing? I will keep you warm as soon as you remove that snow. Whatever we do, we will be alright. These holiday wonders will open your mind. May all your wishes tonight come true. The love I lived, the dream I knew. This Christmas I only wanna be close to you.
okay, so our little guys are together. Let's move those aside. And then let's bring this piece back over. Now I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do this. These little guys are gonna be on here. And then my sentiment is gonna be right here. And we're gonna do that in gold. And then I want it to be sort of hanging. So on here, you see how it has the little bows? So I want that to be a situation. So what I think I'm gonna do is stress everybody out by cutting one of my stamps.
All right, editing Tina here. So a couple things happened. One thing is I lost some footage that like putting together the very end part of the card. I lost footage. And then also the footage for this video was like over 40 minutes. So editing this down has been a bit of it's been a little bit hard. So all I'm doing here is I cut my stamp. I decided to use the longer bow piece, and I trimmed it down on both ends. So I trimmed off the ornament and then I trimmed off part of the top of the um, string. And I kept all of the pieces when I put it back in my stamp set. They all went back together perfectly. I can use it just like normal. So I know while it's a little bit stressful, I promise you that trimming down your stamps to be able to utilize them more is totally worth it. So the other thing that happened a little bit earlier is the edge of my card. I did not have all of the embossing powder melted, and so some of it came off. And then I think it's right here where I spill a bunch of my, yep, right there. I spill a bunch of my embossing powder. The circle here, I blew out the sentiment. I pushed too hard on that, and then you'll see when I emboss it, it kind of blows out a little bit. So anyways, I realized the edge is kind of not all the way like melted, and so I add a little bit of more embossing powder to that, and then I add embossing powder to the bow, and then I can fix all of those pieces. So the stuff that got cut out, it's gonna cut here in a minute to my actual card, and there's a few things that got cut out. One, I totally mess up when I put the card front onto the card. I have to rip it apart, and I was devastated because it was right at the end because I didn't center the card front panel. So that was a bit of a bummer, but I managed to save it and it was totally fine. You can see on my sentiment that I got embossing powder kind of all over the place. When I spilled it, it sort of messed up that embossed sentiment. But it's totally okay. It's fine. It's not terrible. And then in my sparkly beards, you can see some of those black specks from my definitely from my embossing machine. So I hope that you enjoyed this day 9 of Craftmas, and I will be back tomorrow with another look at one of my December daily albums. And I've enjoyed so much making these videos for you. I will try to remember to link in the description anybody who is following along and doing this with me. I need to go back to yesterday's video and link a couple people. So thank you so much, and I will catch you tomorrow for day 10. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Well, I'm all for Christmas, all the happy smiles and the wishes, and I want it all, from the lights to the mistletoe.